I want to welcome I want to welcome everybody who's online, and then also a couple of our participants here. We have quite a lot of bagels here, and we have about 20 bagels per person. So if you all want to drop by during the day and pick something up, we've got lots of food. I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Natalie Surkova, who's driven up here from Denver today. Natalie is a professor in radiology. She's been a great partner with our veterinary radiology section, and she also runs the animal imaging core down at UC Denver, which many of our faculty have access to and can use. And she's a very successful researcher who's written many facility and equipment and project grants. And she's here today with her hat on as the CCTSI Pilot Grant Program Director to talk to us about CSU opportunities for the CCTSI Pilot Grant. So thank you, Natalie.
Thanks so much, Dr. Vanderwood. So I hope everyone can hear me. So I'm here in person. Thanks so much for having us here and bringing all those bagels and goodies. And we have also Deborah Zuster, who is our CCTSI Pilot Grant Program Administrator. So she will be also participating in this discussion. She is recording this presentation. So for those who were not able to attend today, you can definitely see the recording, which will be posted on the CSU website, as far as I understand. Okay, let's just start us. And I hope everybody knows what the CCTSI stands for. It's Colorado Clinical Translational Science Institute. It is actually the biggest NIH NCAT award to the state of Colorado, which we have. The director of the CCTSI award and the entire program is Dr. Ron Sokol, who is our pediatric GI senior faculty, and he has been the father of the CCTSI all these years. So we're going to talk about the pilot grant programs. This is a program which has a very significant budget, as you will see on the next slide soon. And this is really designed to help our faculty to obtain pilot grants for the future federal fundings. And this program is overseen by myself, as Dr. Vanderwood said, with the help of Deborah Zuster. And we also have other faculties, CCTSI leadership faculty who oversees some aspect of this program, such as Dr. Vanderwood herself here for the CSU, and we also have Dr. Baker and Dr. Zeidler who are overseeing child and maternal health pilot programs. Next slide, please, Deborah. So, as I said, we have quite a substantial fundings put aside for those pilot grants. Particularly, we have $3 million per year, which we invest in the pilot grants, micro grants, and pre and postdoctoral research scholar awards. And our sources are mostly from the NIH. So the National Center for Advancing Translational Science, NCATS, this is a program in the NIH which directs and coordinates all CTSA award in the entire country. So it's and Deborah can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's around 40 hubs, so 40 centers in the different institutions in the United States who have a CTSA award. We are one of them, and we call ourselves CCTSI. We also have a matching funds for the pilot grants, and the funds are provided by our Dean Office of School of Medicine for the Colorado, and we also have Children's Hospital Colorado Research Institute to contribute to it. And I don't know if the CSU also, and CSU contributes as well with the matching funds to this program. Next, please. So who can apply for our pilot grants? Everyone who is a CCTSI members. It is very easy to become CCTSI members. We have thousands and thousands of CCTSI members across the Colorado. Obviously, almost everyone in the Anschutz campus is a CCTSI member. Almost all faculty at the CSU are CCTSI members. CU Boulder, CSU Colorado Springs, CU Colorado Springs, National Jewish, and so on and so on. Anyone who has an appointment, faculty appointment, or even students and postdocs can become CCTSI member. And here's our affiliate institutions. You can find more information on this website. And obviously, we always encourage underrepresented female and minority researchers, particularly to apply. We even have a particular grant award, which is designed for the diversity and underrepresented minorities. Next slide, please. So this is always very interesting question we got from our faculty, those who are interested in the program. They're asking, oh, well, this is a clinical and translational. I'm very basic scientist. So this is a so-called tiering system for the NIH based on the focus of your research. So the TO tier is very basic science. Let's say you do Drosophila research. Let's say you do viral research. This will be considered as a TO. Then if you have a translation to the humans, and you will have a clinical intervention and their initial testing, this will be tier T1, clinical settings will be T2, translation to practice will be T3, and translation to population will be T4. So the animal research sometimes also considered T0. However, don't hold me to this because you have very unique patient population. So I'm not sure if I bring my puppy to you and you're going to do something sophisticated on this, I don't know if it's a T0 or T1. It might be actually T1, right? So the NIH, I think there's a fine line for the animal research where you go from the T0 to T1. But the bottom line for all of this is that any tier is okay to apply. Even the basic, very basic research, it's still, if it's relevant to the biomedical science and the future application to humans, is considered translational. So don't feel bad if you're doing only Drosophila research. You're still eligible to apply for the CCTSI pilot grant programs. And here on the left side, you can see that our pilot grant program has a different subcategories with the different goals, with a different amount of dollars to be awarded, and also sometimes with the different deadlines for the applications. So there's 4 main programs, subcategories for our pilots. This is the Colorado pilot or CO pilot, which is the biggest one, and the CSU is a very essential part for the co-pilots. Then we have a child and maternal health, which is obviously for research on child and maternal health. The translational methods, this is actually a very, very popular category for the CSU researchers as well. And we talk a little bit more about this. This is if you want to develop something new in the technology in a very broad sense. And finally, we have a community engagement. This is towards T3 and T4 tiers, when you really try and translate the discovery into the clinical practice and into the community patient management and health. Historically, it's mostly us because we are medical school at the Anschutz, but once again, it's very broad defined, and it probably could be applicable to the CSU faculty as well. So I would say the first 3 definitely absolutely okay and very well fitted, including co-pilots and translational method for the CSU researchers. Even community engagement might be of interest. Next, please. Oops. Okay. So let's just start with the first category, which is the biggest one, Colorado Co-Pilot Grant Program. And the goal of this program is to encourage cross-disciplinary and collaborative research in clinical and translational medicine focused on improving human health. The bottom line here, or the home take message, is it needs to be a hypothesis-driven research. So this is a classic application. You have a biological, biomedical question, you're asking this question, you have a hypothesis, and you answer this hypothesis with your proposal, and this is really good for us. The goal of this program, A, to support junior faculty, and B, to support CU-CSU collaboration. This is a program which I oversee together with Sue Van de Voorde, because this is really designed to foster CU-CSU application. So, but other three categories, if you look for the award categories, are really designed for the junior faculty, all junior faculty in the state of Colorado who are CCTSI members. The first award, which you see here, it's early stage investigator diversity award, is relatively new. So the last year we had the first time we were giving those awards to the faculty, and this is for the diversity. So just think about, you know, diversity is a highly broad definition. Underrepresented, even women are also diversity. So think about this, and as long as you are early stage investigator who are seeking funds for pilot studies for future federal grants and for the, like, you know, faculty independence, this is definitely something to consider. The next two categories, mentored and junior faculty awards, is self-exploratory. If you are very, very early stage, postdoc, the first 2 years, assistant professor, and you have a strong mentor, either a new mentor, which will expand your scientific horizons, or even an existing mentor, but who brings something new to your research and allow you to be independent, it will also work. So the mentored faculty award should have you as a junior faculty, as a PI, but you also require to have mentor, primary mentor, secondary mentor, whatever you think is the best for you. The junior faculty award doesn't need any mentors. It's also for the junior faculty, early stage assistant professors, you know, in the later time of their assistant professor position. And you could have co-investigator. I would encourage, because, you know, as a new junior faculty, it would be nice to have a strong collaborators, but it is not required. You can be in solo PI. And once again, the goal of this just to bring you independence and preliminary data for an R01. And finally, CSU-CU collaboration. This is for more established senior faculties. On both sides, 2 PIs is a requirement. 1 PI is at CSU, 1 PI is at CU, and the budget will be split practically in the middle, right? So it's like plus minus, right? But it's usually 50-50. And how much money we're talking? Oh,
Natalie,
yes.
before we move on to the next slide, I get a lot of questions from applicants about whether they should sign up for the mentored faculty or the junior faculty award. So I just want to quickly say, you know, if you feel, if you don't have any funding experience, you're relatively new to, you know, applying for funding and executing pilot grant type of projects, then probably a mentored faculty is better for you. If you've got a small award here, there's some departmental funding, mentored faculty still is acceptable. If you feel like you are ready to take on a full pilot project on your own and don't require the support of a mentor to help administer your award, then definitely the junior faculty category is more appropriate for you. Because remember, you may have many mentors in your career and in your research, but we're talking about the mentor for your pilot grant. That's the person that is going to be submitting reports to the CCTSI about how they are mentoring you through. They're going to help you manage the award in addition to overseeing, you know, and helping with what's going on in the research side of things. So think of it as your mentor for the award as opposed to necessarily a mentor for your research, because you can have many mentors who don't end up on your application but are still involved in the execution of the project itself. And for anyone who is interested in that early stage investigator diversity award, that's kind of at the same level as the junior faculty awards. So we have our policy is that if you apply for early stage investigator diversity award, but maybe are not the top, you know, scoring application, we automatically consider you for funding in the junior faculty award, which usually has several more awards available to give in that category. So if you enroll in early and stage investigator diversity award, you're automatically also enrolled in the junior faculty award category. Thank you. We
Uh,
do have a question in the chat here. Can junior faculty with 3 to 4 years with an interest in collaboration with faculty at CU apply for the CSU CU Collaboration Award? That's a really good question. I'm going to mention really quick, but later on in the presentation, we'll be looking at the rank eligibility table, which is also on the CCTS website. So let's put a pin in that question. I think that question is going to be answered later on in this presentation. Back to you, Natalie. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. So very great comments from Deborah. And I think what I also want to say, if you have a doubts, if you're not sure what category you should apply, mentored or junior, you just can drop an email to me and Deborah, and we can just, by looking at your bias sketch, we can make suggestions to you. It also goes back to the resources, right? I mean, if you have more or less an independent lab already, so you are an assistant professor with the startup funds, and you do not really rely on the technical, more like administrative infrastructure of others, I would go for junior award. If you still have some kind of tights, if for example your IRB protocol or your ICOOC protocol is not on your name but on your mentor, you might consider to have a more mentorship. And it's really also where you feel like you are in your career, right? So there's no yes or no. It can always be decided upon discussion of your bias sketch and your particular scientific question. However, what I would like to tell right now, and I will also mention it later on when we talk about the core facilities, don't feel like you have to bring the entire expertise as a junior faculty to your project. It's impossible. It is impossible. It's great to have great collaborators who might have been your mentors in the past. Also, don't forget, you have a great core shared resources. We do have shared resources, bioinformatics, animal imaging, flow cytometry, metabolomics. Don't tell me that you want to become a solo metabolomic expert if you have never done metabolomics before. Just use the resources, okay? This is always encouraging. Use the resources. They don't even have to be your collaborators, but they can be used as shared resources. It's becoming more and more crucial for the NIH R01 applications as well. Next slide, please, Deborah. So what are we talking here about? What the budget is? So the budget, all pilot grants are usually 1 year grant. So you have to build your project, your study design around 1 year. So it has to be feasible in 12 months, okay? And you will get 30,000 for 1 year project. This means diversity, early stage diversity, junior, and mentored. For the CCSU-CU collaboration, you get 60,000 because, as I said, it requires 2 PIs and the budget will be split in 2. So still around 30,000.
It's 50-50 between the two institutions. So
yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. And yeah, so Deborah is the person who will be giving you money. So you just keep it in mind. She is very important. We usually not encourage no cost extension. Deborah, could you just talk a little bit about no cost extension for 1 year?
Absolutely. So we are pretty limited in trying to stick to 1 year proposals. You should definitely write your proposal for a 1 year time frame. Last year, obviously, with COVID and the pandemic, we had a lot of people whose research facilities were shut down and could not complete in that time frame. And so those people did receive no cost extension so that they can finish out their award this year. However, if anyone is on a no cost extension from last year, or if they have active funding because they had a new project last year, they're not allowed to apply for funding this year. We want to spread the wealth and share the resources and not stretch anybody too thin. So anybody who's currently funded or on a no cost extension cannot apply for funding. That being said, we should, for this year's applicants, we're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best that you can still accomplish your project with 1 year. Under the extraordinary circumstances that we would see the pandemic rise up and see, our research resources or access to campus, clinical enrollment diminish because of the pandemic, in the spring, we will consider those circumstances if you do decide to apply for a no-cost extension. But typically, that is very discouraged to have a no-cost extension for a number of reasons that I won't really get into. Just trust me, it's in your best interest and everyone's to stick to the one-year project. Thanks.
Yes, and Dr. Van der Woode.
But I think the eligibility for this at CSU has to be faculty level, so it's instructor through professor.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will get to the table in a second. But if you have a concern, junior, early stage diversity or mentor, just reach out to us, to our team. So it's me, Dr. Van der Woode, and Deborah, and we will help you with this. And also keep in mind, if you apply for the diversity, because it's only one award for the diversity, we award several 8 to 10 mentored and junior in each category. We usually award only one CSU with a senior, two CSU, which usually with the more senior faculty PIs, but we have only one diversity award. However, if you got a smashing score but you didn't make it to this one award, you will automatically go to the junior faculty category and still will be competitive. And yeah, we obviously have limited, everybody has their budget, but if we do have amazing applications, which we as the directors feeling that it really is promising, we will definitely advocate to the CCTSI leadership, to our dean offices, and we will just ask for additional resources, and we will talk in a bit what is our funding level. So the goal of this 30K programs is to support junior faculty, to make you an independent person, and to enable you to submit a strong R01 application or large federal grant application. This is your payback to us. So we just give you an opportunity to do your research as a feedback. We expect good publications where you mentioned the CCTSI pilot grant support, and also submission of your independent R01 grants. By developing and generating the hypothesis-driven preliminary data. And obviously for the CSU awards, we want to see new collaboration. So the existing collaboration will not fly. It needs to be new collaboration and new projects. Next, please. Okay, the next category for our pilots is Child and Maternal Health CMH pilot grant program, and this is overseen by Dr. Zeidler and Baker from the Colorado Children's Hospital. This is only mentored in junior faculty, so this is going back to the establishing you as an independent researcher and just generate your hypothesis-driven data, but only in the area of the child and maternal health. So just think about this. It does not have to be clinical research. It could be animal models for sure, but it needs to be related to the CMH, child and maternal health. And pregnant women, for example, as well, mothers of newborns also included in this category. And we actually had yesterday, 2 days ago, we had a first informational call about CMH and Colorado pilot programs. And Dr. Baker said that if you have really CMH related project, try not to apply for the co-pilots. Try to really go to the CMH because they have better reviewers. You will be, your grant will be better evaluated, and it really makes more sense. Even though we do have more budget for the co-pilots for the first category, but the competition is also higher. We also get much more application in all kind of biomedical research. So if you have anything related to the CMH, please go to the CMH study section.
Dr. Strakova,
yeah.
I just wanted to mention too to the people who are on the call and in the room that one of the reasons why we encourage you to apply into the child maternal health category is because our review panel for the child maternal health program is slightly different than the Colorado pilot program. So if you would like to have expert reviewers who actually are guaranteed to know child and maternal health as their specialty, this is a far more appropriate program. Technically, even though there are more awards available in the Colorado pilot program, the funding rate is about the same for the two programs. So it's equally competitive either way, but you'll have a better review process and get better feedback and scoring from your reviewers. Thanks.
Yeah, yes, I agree. Next slide, please. The next okay, so, and this is, since it's very similar to the junior/mentored in the co-pilots, the awards are also only for 1 year, same NCE, no cost extension rules applied as what Deborah mentioned for the co-pilots, 30K per year. And once again, postdoctoral fellows or assistant professors are encouraged. And obviously to support the early stage investigators to become independent and submit R01 in hypothesis-driven projects. Next, please. Translational methods. So since CSU has an incredible faculty who have a very unique technological background and expertise, we always get quite a lot of applications from the CSU to participate in this program. So what is this program for? This is not hypothesis driven. You could have, and you should probably have, a biological application, but the main goal is not hypothesis driven research, but technology driven research. You will aim to develop something new. New technology is such a broad definition. A new assay, a new antibody, a new virus, a new animal model. We'll love new animal models coming from the CSU because you're just so good in this. New imaging technology, new contrast agent, new software, new algorithm for machine learning. This is all considered a new technology. Just think about this. The only thing which is crucial here, this technology should not be in existence among the CCTSI members. So for example, if you have a new wonderful transcriptomics assay already in place and you trying just to apply it not in pulmonology but in the infectious disease, this will not work because the technology already exists. The dissemination is a part of this grant, of this pilot, but you really have to create something new. Now, Stanford could have this technology already, but if it's not available to the our CCTSI members, then it's absolutely appropriate. I'm overseeing this program, so if you have many questions, and usually there's always a lot of questions to this program, just reach out to me and to Deborah and we will be happy to help you. And we have 3 award categories: the translational method, and we actually have to add here. So, and this year we probably, in translational methods, we will also add 1 subcategory, which is animal imaging, just because we received a lot of money from the NIH to buy new scanners. So to disseminate those new scanners, PET, CT, MRI, to our faculties everywhere in the state, we will have 1 extra animal imaging subcategory. But usually translational methods, we have 5 to 7 awards in this category from everyone. You don't have to be at the entrance, everyone. Then we have a 1 to 2 award in biostatistics, bioinformatics, and we really try to foster it. This is a category which always gets some complaints that it's not well developed from the other faculties. Bioinformatics is very complex. So we do have up to 2 awards from everywhere, including CSU, to develop new algorithm and support for biostatistics and bioinformatics, new methods. And finally, we have 1 to 2, right? CSU awards for just 1. But sometimes, if they're good, and they're usually very good, we try to get the second one too from the Colorado State University. You can do anything you want in the translational methods, in developing new methods. We always appreciate, as I said, to have animal models, like developing new animal models or new bacteria, or just think about this, about your strengths and developing something new in technology. Next, please. Yeah, a question. I will let you know. Just ask me.
Natalie, can you repeat the question for the
Yes.
recording? It's not coming up on the mic.
The
Thanks.
question is how I, as a CSU member, will know that this technology does not exist among other CCTSI centers, such as Anschutz or Boulder. And we probably could get this information from me. Just drop me an email and, just describe what you're trying to. And sometimes, if it's impossible to utilize this technology in the Anschutz, you still could be developing of this technology, maybe slightly different than what we have at the Anschutz, and maybe even utilizing our expertise, so it will be even more efficient. So don't just ask me. I've been on the faculty almost for 20 years, and I know pretty much most of the labs and technology developing initiatives. So I will definitely answer your question. So the amount for this is $20K per year, 1 year, once again. And here we do not accept postdoctoral fellows because it's not a junior faculty award, right? You need some expertise to develop a new technology. So the instructors through the full professors are encouraged to apply. So the major goals are provide support for developing new technologies, assay animal models, algorithms. We also encourage, not required, but encourage, support new collaboration between a technology-driven PI and application PI, because we want to see that your technology is really needed. Don't ask for money if nobody else will need this technology, only your team. You need to disseminate this technology. So if you are technology-driven PI, I know only about MRI, but I reach out to my colleagues and say, hey, you have a wonderful animal model, which I can scan for the, for the brain tumors. It would be the perfect application to have both expertise. And we also would like to see the dissemination of this technology among the CCTSI research community. Next, please.
I just want to mention before we move on that Dr. Sokova is really well connected. If you have a technology idea and you're really looking for another researcher, feel free to reach out to her because she can probably find someone who can partner with you or collaborate with you, because she does have an extensive network of researchers and knows what they're into and their areas are. So she can find someone to help complement what your side of it is, and that would very much strengthen your application to see both the technology side and the application side in your application. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. And we're here really to help. We want to see you succeeding. Next slide, please, Deborah. The community engagement, I will not stay a long time because I think it's really more like a medical school application, but you still can have, especially now since you have our medical students here on the Fort Collins branch. So maybe you would have a community engagement projects together with your community hospital or even CSU. So this program is overseen by Mantel Temes. I mean, you can contact her and she will give you her administrative and scientific feedback, but this is really T3, T4. So application and translation into the clinical care and community hospitals. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, I mean, I just
what was the question?
No, just Dr. Van de Woede said that CSU in the past has had a couple of the programs, a couple of the projects which were at the CE pilot. So absolutely. And this is about it's smaller grants, partnership development and joint projects up to 20K. Okay, next, please. So the review criteria pretty much adapted, and for each program there are slightly deviation, because obviously if you have a career development, more like early stage development grant versus technology driven proposal, the review criteria will be slightly different, but in general it's adapted from the NIH, preparing you for the NIH submission, and the innovation is the main criteria. So no matter if it's hypothesis driven project or technology driven project, it needs to be innovative. Okay. Approach and scientific merit. So this is actually, I would like to tell you something because it comes every time on the study section. Be reasonable. I mean, obviously your goals needs to be specific aims, needs to be exactly correct to answer your hypothesis or technology driven proposal, but don't overdo it, because a lot of time we say it can never be completed in 1 year. Just be reasonable. It's much better. It's much better to concentrate on one portion of your big idea and complete it perfectly with the strong data, preliminary data and publication, rather than just try to put 5-year R01 in 1-year proposal. You will never be successful in this. Cross-disciplinary and collaborative focus, very important. If you mentored or junior, as I said, please choose wisely your collaborator, mentors, and even shared resources, okay? Significance, especially to the CCTSI mission. If you do especially yeast research or Drosophila research, be vocal how it is relevant to the human health. Next, please. Investigators, self-exploratory, just pay attention to biosketch. The biosketch needs to be NIH formatted and good publication records. We do not expect you to have major findings. Actually, you probably will be disqualified if you have major findings, for at least for the mentored pilot grants, but you need to show that you have an expertise. Your collaborators have expertise, your mentor has an expertise. Health equity is not scorable criteria, but we encourage it. For example, which means it's not only like a PI diversity, but it's also if you run clinical studies that your patient population is diverse. So you have to include minorities. You have, if you're just doing a special like community engagement grants, just to explain how underinsured, underrepresented minority will be covered. Environment, once again, self-exploratory. You have a wonderful scientific environment in here at the CSU. So just utilize your shared resources, your bioinformatic resources, and so on and so on. In educational mission, this is important. Obviously, if it's mentored or junior award, you already have your educational mission to support your career, but we highly encourage to include undergraduate, and you have undergraduate students, unlike School of Medicine. Undergraduate, graduate students, please include them into your grant. They cannot be key personnel, but they can be included as non-key personnel. So this is one aspect of the educational mission. And it's important. A lot of people just run out of space in the pages and they just don't even include educational mission. You will be penalized for this. Another aspect for the educational mission, especially for translational methods, it's dissemination. How you're going to disseminate your ideas, how you're going to disseminate your technology. Is it going to be available to other CCTSI member? You're going to teach about this technologies, think about this as well. Next, please.
I just want to clarify the specific review criteria for each pilot grant program is slightly different, as Dr. Sokova mentioned. And if you would like to specifically look at that, the RFA has each review criteria listed out in detail
On the website.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So this is a history of fundings because we're asking what is our funding rates. They are relatively similar among Copilot, CMH, and TA in translational method pilots. So it's around between 20 to 25, 28. And you can see it for 2019, 2020, 2021. Once again, Copilot is a major program. It's still the same level of fundings, 26%, but obviously since we have more awards, we also get much more applications. The first bulk, what you see here is letter of intent. Letters of intent are required because it is just makes our recruitment of our reviewers for your grants much better, so we can match it better. Then after the LOI, you will submit your final application, and the last bulk you can see here is it's actually how many awards we have been issued in each year. It's a little bit different for the community engagement pilot. They have a little bit higher funding rates, but the grants are also smaller in the budget. Next, please. And just, this is probably important for the CU-CSU. If you look at the percent of awarded faculty, Anschutz, it's obviously very high up there. CSU has 9% from the entire pool of our awarded PIs. You get 9%. I would like to see those numbers a little bit higher. Once again, we are limited on the CSU grants like CSU CU or CSU translational methods, but you don't have to go to the specifically designed CSU CU. I have several grants also, for example, and utilizing animal imaging, who got awarded from the CSU for the CSU faculty in the general category. So don't be shy, just apply also. It does not have to be CSU CU collaboration. If you have a great science, just apply for the general category. And we're also working on the CU Boulder because for some reason they have only 5%. We also, I just, as you know, as a female faculty myself, I really like to have 57% of the female of the PIs being female who were awarded. So we're really doing a great job in here. And we also have 11% of the PIs were from the underrepresented minorities, which is quite good. Next, please. And now I will give the mic to Deborah because she will guide you through the application process. We're using red caps for it.
Great, thank you, Dr. Shirkova. So the way to apply is all through the CCTSI website. If you go to the CCTSI website, you'll see that there's a funding tab. And if you go to that and drop down, you'll see the 4 different pilot programs that we have. And you click on one of those, it'll take you to the individual landing page for each one of those programs. We're going to look at the Copilot as an example. When you click on the Copilot link, this is the Copilot landing page. It's very similar across all 4 programs. You'll see the description of the program itself to make sure you're in the right award category. You'll see the request for applications, or the RFA. This is really your guiding document that is going to contain all of your answers about how to apply, what should be included, what are the deadlines. Always go back to the RFA when in doubt. If for some reason you have a unique situation that comes up or question, you can always feel free to reach out to me, Dr. Sakova, about eligibility or content, anything like that. We're here happy to help. Right now, the application button is not activated on the web page. That should go active in the next day or 2. And then at that point, you'll find at the bottom of this web page, or the child maternal health page, or the translational page, translational methods page, you'll see a brown button that says click here to submit your intent to apply form. The intent to apply form is also called the LOI, or letter of intent. You don't actually need to provide an actual letter. Our online form is going to ask you for some contact information for the key roles in your study. It's going to ask you for the title of your study, and it's going to ask you for the type of research and research topics that this study involves. And it's really important that you have a pretty solid idea of what you're going to do. You don't have to give us too many details, but I do use that information on the intent to apply form to help assign the reviewers to your study. So later on, as soon as you submit your information for the intent to apply form, you'll be emailed a link, and it's a unique link to confirm that you have submitted your letter of intent, and also a unique link to your application form, which is also online. Now, the application form adds a few other questions about your history of funding, or if you've ever had an R01 award, that sort of thing. A little more about the study, if you know how you're collecting your data. All of the information from your letter of intent automatically imports for your contact information. So you do have a chance to update and edit a little bit. If there's maybe a mistake on the LOI, you can fix it on the application form. Maybe one of your co-investigators dropped out, but you want to add someone else, you'll be able to do that on your application form. So the letter of intent needs to be pretty solid, but there's still room and some flexibility for some changes on the application form. When you submit the application form, again, you get a confirmation email, and then we move forward from the app, with the review process from there. On each of the web landing pages for the Copilot, CMH Pilot, and TM Pilot, and the community engagement, you'll also see some information and resources, which we're going to go through next. And on the left sidebar, you'll see the 2022 key dates as your reminder of informational calls. We do have 2 informational calls that are scheduled. The first one was Monday, but we do have another one coming up. So sometimes people have questions between their intent to apply submission and their application submission. We encourage you to come to those, that presentation, and that so you can have those questions answered there. Again, you can always email Dr. Skover and I, or both, to answer any specific questions. So let's take a look at a few of the information resources that are available for each program. This is the PI eligibility by academic rank that someone had asked about earlier in the chat. So you can see each type of award has slightly different criteria for what rank of academic rank is eligible to apply. So again, go back to that landing page for the program, and you will be able to click the link to see this table. And when you go to the application form online, or the letter of intent to apply form, there are a few sort of fail safes in there. So if you're not eligible, you're going to get a warning on the application form, which will help sort out, make sure that you're in the right category as well. On there, on the landing page, you can also find the Pilot Grant Award budget template. It's available in a PDF or an Excel page. And we encourage you to customize those categories on that page for the budget. What we really want to see is where the money is going to be spent and the categories it's going to be spent on. So do use the columns to indicate how much of your budget is going to be spent at the CU Anschutz Meadow campus versus Colorado State University or any other institution. And keep in mind, if you are spending money at any other institution, the RFAs do have some specific information about what needs to go into that. It's called the cost share budget. And if you're going to be sending money to an institution outside of the CCTSI affiliated institutions, you and I are going to have a conversation about that before you submit your application form, just to make sure that we can actually make that happen. So check the landing page websites for the award budget template. And also on that page, you'll see the application checklist. This is kind of a generalized checklist of what to expect on the intent to apply form and the application form when you do get online with those. I want to just point out here on the application form, item number 3, the research plan. Again, there are required types of documents to be included in this plan, and go with whatever's on the RFA. This application checklist is just kind of a courtesy, but you want to pay attention to the specific requirements in the RFA about which documents, in terms of your abstract and your research design, and whether you need to have a career development plan included or not. The 4-page limit is more specific on the RFA than it is on this application checklist. So always go back to the RFA. I just want to mention too, for the bio sketches that you're going to be required to upload as part of your application, that there is a new NIH format that goes into effect next year. But considering these awards will be activated after that deadline, please go ahead. Everybody's going to have to do it eventually. Get your BioSketch updated now and include that as part of your application form. Again, you're going to submit all of your required documentation as one PDF. There is a typo in the RFA for Copilot and child maternal health that says, individual documents. There are no individual documents to upload online on the application form, or it will only ask you for one PDF of all required documents from the RFA. So if there's any confusion or question about that, I apologize. Feel free to reach out to me when the time comes if it's not clear. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Sirkova to talk about some tips for success in applying for your award.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Deborah. So as I mentioned, especially for the mentor and junior faculty, we do not expect you to do everything in your lab. It's actually encouraged to utilize our resources, which we have for you, because it's also what the NIH is looking in the future applications. The CCTSI itself has a very strong, mostly human research based infrastructure, starting with the recruitment of participants, IRB preparation, and so on and so on. So you can actually see it on the website if you click on the resources. Next page, please. Next slide, please. And this is just a little bit more, which explains you, and even being at the CSU, you are still totally entitled to use those infrastructure. As a junior or mentored faculty, you can even get a discount using those services if there are some fees are involved. Some cores are even giving free services to the junior CCTSI pilot PIs. You don't have to be restricted only for the human research support infrastructure. Here at the CSU, you have a lot of shared resources. Next page, please, Deborah. We also, for example, our Cancer Center, which your faculty are also members of the University of Colorado Cancer Center. They have access to all more basic science, or like, just regular shared resources such as animal imaging, biostatistic, functional genomics, flow cytometry, mass spectrometry, pharmacology. Actually, one of the director of our Cancer Center shared resources for pharmacology, Dan Gustafson, is the faculty here at the CSU. So it's actually located here at the CSU. So just do your homework, just check what you need and see if you have access to this. And as I said, most of those shared resources also here at CSU, at CU Boulder and the Anschutz, they offer some discounted prices, fees for services for the junior faculty. And just for your information, we're actually working very hard now with the CU Boulder and CSU shared resources to build so-called front range shared resources initiative. So just really just to design, because the technology are so sophisticated, so expensive, you cannot just have everything in your lab. Okay, next slide, please. And this is the application cycle dates. So you can see that there are some deadlines for the letter of intents, some deadlines, also deadlines for the application. And for example, for this, the first round is CO pilot in CMH, child maternity health. They're coming now in September 9th for letters of intent, October 4th for the final pilot application deadline. And we will be reviewing those at in December. And you will get the award notice by March 2022. The translational method and community engagement pilots coming a little bit later, I think like about a month later, right, Deborah? Yeah, so that it means that for translational methods and CE, you will have a letter of intent around end of October, I believe so, and the application deadline later November, something like this. And finally, this is the information of all our team, with Deborah being probably your first person to contact, and me, Dr. Van de Voode, for the co-pilots. And Jessica is here as also will be working on you with the around the budget, because I think for the CSU, the budget need to be pre-approved. Working with Jessica and Dr. Van de Voode, and Dr. Zeitler and Baker can help you with the child and maternity health. So we have, I think there was the last slide. So we have a couple more minutes left to answer any questions if you have, okay?
Thank you, Natalie. That was really great. This is Sue Vanderwood. I'm not on camera, obviously. I just wanted to remind CSU faculty, this is in the instructions, but you will need to submit your grant through your typical pre-awards process, through your department and college to have that approved by OSP prior to submission. So even though it'll come through as a sub-award, we need to have you do that so we can check the grant budget, as Natalie referred to. So it's a little bit different down here. And Jessica Hunter is the new Amy Oak. Amy has set this or retired from this particular task, and Jessica works at the One Health Institute, so she's taking over administrative management. So if you have any questions, get in touch with me or Jessica if it's CSU centric. Thank you.
Thank you. So another question?
Yeah, I just want to ask how important like preliminary data for these grants as well. Do we have to have preliminary data?
Since these grants are designed to generate preliminary data, its preliminary data are not required but encouraged. You have, however, as a junior faculty, you have to show us that you have an expertise in training to proceed with those data. So obviously not the pilot data to directly confirm your hypothesis, but just to show that you have the expertise to do it. Does it answer your question? Okay.
We have a question in the chat. If I'm a PI on one submission, am I allowed to be a co-investigator on a separate submission? That's a really good question, and this is kind of an ongoing theme that comes up year after year. So I'm going to go ahead and address that. The rules are that, you know, we have 4 different programs, right? So if you are applying as a PI, a co-PI, or a co-investigator in any of those roles, you can only be listed on one application form across all the programs, okay? The exception is if translational methods, you can get other awards and get a translational method. So there's no restriction there. So no, if you are a PI on one award and submitting as a co-investigator on a different award, that could invalidate, and we could, you know, throw out both of the applications for a violation. So it's really important to stick to the rules that are listed in the RFA, where it defines the key role as your PI, your co-PI, your co-investigator, and anyone receiving salary support, such as a mentor, okay? Mentors are a little bit in their own category here, because if it's a mentor who's receiving salary support, which we don't really encourage, we would not, you know, it's not a deal breaker. You can still apply if, you know, with your mentor had to have salary support, but really the money is designed to be going to you as the PI to help advance your career. They already have a career. We don't want to be spending money on them to advance their work. The theme of the pilot study, the responsibility, the money should all be about the PI and the co-investigator, okay? So if a mentor is for some reason receiving salary support, we don't want to see their name on any other application, okay? If they're not receiving salary support, great. They can be mentor to any number of pilot projects, any number of applications. If they're not getting salary support, they don't need to be listed in a key role. There's no violation of the RFA, okay? I do want to mention that if you have more than one idea that you would like to put forward, go ahead and submit multiple letters of intent. But ultimately, when it comes to the application, you can only submit once. Have your name on only one application as the PI, the co-PI, the co-investigator, or a salary supported mentor.
And I just want to mention also that if you're utilizing the shared resources, don't feel obligated to put them as a co-investigator or key personnel, the scientific stuff. I'm personally, as the animal imaging core director, I'm sometimes on 10 applications, but I'm not a key investigator. I'm just providing my shared resource expertise. I will be consultant, and everybody should feel comfortable doing this. So just once again, if you are a PI on the co-pilots, only one co-pilot, no CMH anymore. The only exclusion is translational method because it's not hypothesis driven. So yes, 1 year you can submit one translational method, one co or CMH pilot, okay? As a PI or co-investigator.
I would recommend, if you're going to do that, try not to overlap your budgets. The budgets ultimately need to be for 2 separate things. So maybe you submit for Copilot for salary and to translational methods for materials, or vice versa, something like that. So no overlap in the budget, but you can apply for Copilot and translational methods, or child maternal health and translational methods, but you cannot apply for Copilot and child maternal health. Both. Thanks.
Yeah, if there's no other questions in the chat, I just once again, just feel free to reach out to our team, Deborah, me, Sue, and we will do our best, and Jessica, to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Thanks for having us here. Just looking forward to the great applications from the CSU again. Yeah.